My fellow Americans, we are less than 3 weeks away from the most consequential election of our lives. I truly believe this video might be one of the most important videos we see until November 5th. Journalistic integrity in the mainstream media under fire yet again. CBS, a corrupt broadcasting service, the same station and network that edited out Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview to make her look more presentable, just did the same exact thing except the opposite because it was a Republican to Speaker Mike Johnson. And by the way, something that's been so beautiful to see is when you've got lifelong Democrats like billionaire hedge fund manager Bill Ackman posting on X that he's endorsed Donald Trump because he's sick and tired of the radical extreme left who are anti-American, which I've been saying for a very, very long time. He just endorsed Trump not that long ago. He's been talking about this story on X as he wields his influence. So I've corroborated a lot of different sources, but check this out. Speaker Mike Johnson posts on X saying CBS has been, by the way, follow me on X. I'm Professor Nez everywhere, but X is where really the last bastion of free speech in the online ecosystem. So make sure you follow me on X. CBS has been under fire for selectively editing their interviews to promote Democrats and undermine Republicans. Yesterday, they chose to cut 5 important minutes out of my nearly 15-minute interview.
Sure you.
So Speaker Johnson, I texted him, just asked him about that exchange last night, and he said, did you see CBS? And I said, no. So I put on Face the Nation. He says they edited his video. He says he'll never agree to it again.
Wow, just
he
like
said
60 minutes.
He says they edited, he goes, on Face the Nation, it was even more direct, but they edited it out. He goes, I did the interview to make, they made Kamala look better. They edited my video to try to make me look less effective. I will never agree to a non-live interview with CBS again.
Journalistic malpractice. It's 60 Minutes did it. The flash, the
CBS again.
So then Speaker Mike Johnson posted this following up on that, saying, I recently traveled to North Carolina and victims of Hurricane Helene told me nearly 2 weeks after landfall, the Biden-Harris administration had still not provided them with all the resources they desperately needed. But CBS selectively edited out entirely this first-hand perspective. This video is going to absolutely shock you, and then come on back. I'll show you the actual transcript of what Speaker Mike Johnson originally says in this recording and what they slashed out. Okay, here you're going to see on the left-hand side of your screen is what they aired on CBS, and then the actual full answer. And if you recognize who that reporter is, that's Margaret Brennan, who was one of the moderators in the vice presidential debate between J.D. Vance and Tim Walz. They fact-checked the absolute crap. Her and Norah O'Donnell fact-checked the absolute crap out of J.D. Vance, but they didn't fact-check Tim Walz not a single solitary time. Are we paying attention yet, Americans? Check this out.
And this 2% you say was distributed.
Yeah, so they've obligated some funds, but they've only distributed 2%. The rescue and recovery effort's still going on, and then we address the rest of it.
So that's a different accounting than this 2% you say was distributed.
Yeah, so they've obligated some funds, but they've only distributed 2%. And when I was there on the ground, and you should go, I mean, bring the cameras and talk to the people there. They'll tell you, don't take politicians' words for this or the administration's word. Talk to the people there on the ground. They had not been provided the resources almost 2 weeks out from the storm that they desperately needed. And when I was there, 13 days post the storm hitting that state, people are still being rescued. They're stuck in the higher elevations in the mountains because the roads are down and all the rest. So they need every available resource and all hands on deck. The rescue and recovery effort's still going on, and then we address the rest of it.
So here's the transcript that you can see on the screen right here, where Margaret Brennan says, well, the FEMA director says there's only 11 billion left from that 20 billion that was allocated. So that's a different accounting than this 2% you say was distributed. And Speaker Johnson says, yeah, so they've obligated some funds, but they've only distributed 2%. They cut out nearly an entire section, a minute's worth of information to fit their own narrative. You can see the red slashed out parts as you saw from the different montage before and after what actually aired on CBS and what they actually edited. But wait, there's actually more. The fact that the border czar has failed at her one task, her one job, which was literally to oversee the border. We have the worst border crisis in the history of our country. The House passed the SAVE Act to ensure only American citizens vote in American elections. CBS edited that out and focused on 2020 instead of immediate threats to election integrity. Listen to this.
Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. It's not me undermining it. It's the actions of the Biden-Harris administration in some of these states. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote under federal law.
So if your issue is with certain governors, shouldn't you be talking to them?
Wait a minute. Wait just a minute. It's not me undermining it. It's the actions of the Biden-Harris administration in some of these states. Non-citizens are not allowed to vote under federal law. But the states have prohibited. We passed the SAVE Act, you know, in the House. The SAVE Act says you've got to have proof of citizenship before you register to vote. And Chuck Schumer and the Democrats blocked that in the Senate. We could have prevented this. The questions that people have about that. But the Democrats chose not to. They opened the border wide. A lot of people theorized that that was so that they could have non-citizens to vote. These are realities, Margaret. I wish it weren't true, but that's the concern that people have. And you know, in Wisconsin, for example, some of the counties are. It is law, but that's correct, but we have to make sure the law is followed, and that is the whole point. That has always been the whole point of the SAVE Act and all the measures that we've tried to ensure. I believe, by my count, we have about 16 million illegal aliens in the country since Mayorkas and Harris and Biden opened the border wide, and because of that, there's concern, because those people are distributed all around the country, as you know. There's concern some of those people will try to participate in the elections. Look, some of our House races, I believe the Republicans are going to win the House, grow the House majority, win the Senate and the White House. But in some of our House races, I mean, I have a colleague who was elected by 6 votes in 2020. Some of these are decided by hundreds or a few thousands of votes. So if you have non-citizens participating against the law and you have no mechanism in some states to stop it, that is the root of so much of the concern. And of course, you know, in California, they have ballot harvesting, right? Ballot harvesting is notorious for opening the door for fraud. In Wisconsin, they're going to put, in some counties, unmanned ballot boxes in public parks again.
That is nearly 3 minutes of talking points by Speaker Mike Johnson, who spoke at length to give context that they edited out. This is supposed to be a major news network that is predicated upon the ideal of journalistic integrity, which is unbiased, objective, equivocal, non-partisan, truthful reporting. And they are literally acting like an extra hand, an extra tool, an extra asset to the radical Democrat Party. They are acting like a straight up propagandist machine a la the 1930s. There's no other way. Why would they edit out all of that footage, which of course makes Speaker Mike Johnson look bad, makes Republicans look bad? They did the same thing with J.D. Vance. They did the same thing with the debate against Trump. They did the same thing with the 60 Minutes interview for Kamala to make her look like she can actually string together thoughts and actual sentences. What is going on here? This is treason. This is election interference. This, my fellow Americans, is the true threat to our democracy. It is unbelievable. This is why I have garnered them the Hippocrats. Their hypocrisy knows no bounds. I've said this so many times. Please make this video go viral. Please tap the thumbs up, because you're not going to see this anywhere else. Not for me, because you love your country. Americans need to see the truth. The only reason Kamala Harris is getting any votes, it's not her track record. It's not her accomplishments. She has goose egg, 0. It's not her achievements. She has goose egg, 0. It's not her extensively exemplary background and track record, 0. She has none. She destroyed California, destroyed San Francisco as district attorney, destroyed California as attorney general. She had one job as vice president, absolutely blew it. She doesn't have any credentials. She's the ultimate personification of the cancerous disease that DEI is. Not my words, by the way. Biden himself, go to the White House government website, said himself she is a DEI pick. My fellow Americans, this is the ultimate hypocrisy. Them calling Donald Trump dangerous. Them calling Donald Trump a dictator on day one, which is all BS. Them calling Donald Trump threat to democracy, which has actually fomented enough ire, enough hate that has incentivized deranged lunatics, not one, not two, perhaps three, maybe even more, to attempt an assassination and take his life. We've seen it time and time again. We've known this for a very, very long time. Trump was right back in 2015, 2016, 9-10 years ago when he said they're the fake news. And they laughed at him. He was right about everything. There was another story where Kamala Harris's campaign posted edited video to try to make Trump look like he was incapacitated, confused, acting senile. I mean, it's just preposterous. When the whole time there were two people who had a medical emergency and he was sitting there. They took the footage out of context. He was sitting there trying to essentially give them breathing room, let the doctors do their work, and sitting there just enjoying the music with the crowd, trying not to cause panic and trying to be the stalwart, staunch, stoic leader that he is. This was such an egregious, evil, absolutely detestable act carried out by the Kamala Harris campaign that ABC debunked it. ABC, which is really fake news, they couldn't even, it was so fake, they couldn't even swallow it. It's such a fake pill, they couldn't digest it. Watch this.
Town hall event in Pennsylvania took an unusual turn after he was interrupted twice by medical emergencies in the room. Trump stopped taking questions and stood on stage for nearly 45 minutes listening to his soundtrack. The crowd slowly dispersed, but many stayed for what became an impromptu indoor concert. ABC News senior national correspondent Terry Moran joins me now for more from Pennsylvania. Hey, Terry.
Hey, Alex. So Donald Trump came here to the suburbs of Philadelphia, one of the critical battlegrounds in this battleground state, looking for votes. And it was scheduled to be this town hall event where he would be taking questions and listening to voters. And it turned into something else, as you say, when the candidate turned into a DJ.
But then, 30 minutes in, two attendees suffered medical emergencies.
A doctor, please. Doctor.
The incidents shifted the mood, prompting Trump to cut the questions short and instead play some of his favorite music.
How about this? We'll play YMCA and we'll go home.
Trump kept DJing, and most of his supporters stayed for another 30 minutes of his playlist.
How do you not love this?
Well, in certain quarters of social media, people had a field day with that, and I guess on the screens it might have looked quite strange. Inside that hall, however, people were having a good time. What can I tell you? It did not seem out of the ordinary. It seemed almost intimate, and at the end, Trump did something he very rarely does. He came down off the stage and mingled with his supporters. He was signing autographs and shaking hands and the like.
So you heard what ABC, I mean, you know, this is David Muir's network. So you know when ABC is like, okay, enough is enough, you know it's bad. But here's the actual post from the verified Kamala HQ account where they say, look at this propaganda. Trump appears lost, confused, and frozen on stage as multiple songs play for 30 plus minutes and the crowd pours out of the venue early. These, my fellow Americans, are bold-faced lies. How dare you, Kamala Harris, ever utter the word disinformation or misinformation again? Your own ally, ABC, just threw you under the bus and called you a flat-out liar. This is supposed to be, oh my God, it's hard to even articulate how utterly awful, atrocious this is. How absolutely wrong. It's just flat out capital W wrong. And to me, it reflects and manifests that the Harris campaign is in desperation mode. They're in full-blown panic mode because they understand something, just like I'm sure Obama does. I'm sure Soros and the Hippocratic cabal, they all understand, the mega donors, the Holly weirdos, they all get it. Like, wow, we really should have vetted our candidate, to take over after they executed that coup on President Biden. We really probably should have done a better job of selecting the right person to take his place, because now they're finally realizing this is why she was the most unpopular Democratic candidate back in the 2020 primaries, dead last. Her approval ratings were so low that she dropped out before even Iowa. She is unlikable. She cannot connect. And now, even with a billion dollar, multi-mega billion dollar media machine that is completely aligned with her and helping her in every fashion imaginable, no matter how you package this garbage product, no matter how much lipstick you put on this pig, it's still a pig. Fellow Americans, it becomes absolutely imperative. We are just a few weeks away from the most consequential election of our lives. We need to put on our sovereignty, our critical thinking hats. We cannot fall for this anymore. Vote. Vote as early as possible. Is this the kind of mentality, the kind of cheat, dishonest, repulsive, evil, vile, despicable creature that we want to take over our glorious republic? Our forefathers will be turning over in their graves. This cannot happen. Cannot happen. No way, no how. It cannot happen. It's got to be impossible to rig, because too big to rig is just not enough. Drag everybody you know. Vote as early as possible. Get your vote in like yesterday, if possible. And we got to get our country back. I want to throw this off to you. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. I can't wait to read your comments. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right here. Tap my face if you haven't subscribed already. It's free. Follow us. Sign up for a free newsletter in the pinned comment, show notes, and description. And as always, may God bless you, and may God bless America.